With Metroid Prime 4 Beyond right around the corner, I, Suggestive Gaming, thought it would be the perfect time to go over the complete timeline of the Metroid series as it stands today, over 35 years since its original release. Like many franchises I've covered, Metroid's story is not told in release order, but instead pieces together into a single continuous timeline. To fully understand Samus Aran's legendary journey, we'll follow the in-universe chronological order of every main game and major spin-off. One thing to note is that I'm going to be covering a Japan-only manga detailing the backstory of Samus Aran. While this story has never been stated as outright canon, several writers and developers of the Metroid series have pointed back to it as inspiration for their own stories, most notably Other M, which I'm covering, I'm sorry guys, so I'm going to include it. Another manga entitled Samus and Joey, however, I'll be completely skipping, along with a few other comic adaptations and other promotional materials, mostly for brevity's sake and to follow Samus's personal story through the games. Now, without further ado, from her tragic origins to her latest battles, this is what you need to know about the complete Metroid timeline so far. Our story begins in an alternate reality during the cosmic year 2003, when the Galactic Federation is formed by allied sentient species from various planets in the Milky Way galaxy. Years later, still long before Samus Aran becomes a bounty hunter, she's a 3-year-old girl living with her parents, Rodney and Virginia, on the mining colony K2L, a crucial producer of the volatile mineral, a fluorolite. The colony works non-stop, pushing its crew, Rodney included, to exhaustion as they rush to fuel the Galactic Federation's trade caravans. Even as a child, Samus tries to help, exploring the docks and befriending workers. One day, K2L receives unexpected visitors, the Chozo, an ancient avian-like race, led by a kindly elder Samus comes to know as Old Bird, accompanied by the more stern Grey Voice. They request a huge quantity of a fluorolite for an unnamed operation, but Rodney can't hand it over, as the Federation has the entire stock strictly reserved. While the adults argue over policy and fuel quotas, Samus wanders off with Old Bird, who patiently listens as she tells him about a little animal that stole her toy. Rather than fighting it, Old Bird encourages her to befriend the creature instead. Samus does just that, naming the critter Pianchi, and a quiet bond forms between the girl and the Chozo elder. Eventually, after their request is denied, the Chozo depart K2L. In orbit, Old Bird and Grey Voice discuss a darker truth. They've secretly discovered a dangerous parasite species called the X on planet SR-388, and need a fluorolite to power their countermeasure project, bioengineered organisms that will later be known as Metroids. If the Federation learns about the X Parasites, they could spread across the galaxy. For now, the Chozo choose secrecy, and leave K2L behind. Not long after, another ship appears in K2L's skies, but this time, it's a space pirate vessel commanded by Ridley, a massive dragon-like being. Detecting the massive fluorolite energy signature, Ridley descends with a party ready to raid K2L. On the ground, Rodney realizes what's coming and orders an evacuation, sounding the alarm as pirate dropships descend on the helpless colony. Samus, playing in the nearby woods with Pianchi, sees ships exploding and the colony burning. Drawn by a mix of fear and curiosity, she wanders right into the middle of the attack and comes face to face with Ridley himself. In her innocence, she tries to speak with him, treating the towering dragon-like pirate as just another strange creature that she might befriend. For a brief moment, Ridley hesitates, then laughs, deciding to kill her anyway. He fires a blast of plasma, but Virginia Aran rushes in at the last second, pushing Samus out of the way and taking the hit herself. As the colony falls, Rodney makes his own sacrifice. To stop the pirates from obtaining the fluorolite, he detonates the Federation transport and its fuel stockpile, destroying the supplies, and unfortunately himself, in the blast. Ridley unfortunately survives, badly injured but still alive, and retreats to space with whatever plunder he can salvage. In the chaos, a single traumatized child is left behind. When the Chozo return to K2L to investigate the energy surge, they find the colony in ruins and Samus as the lone survivor, wandering among the wreckage. Faced with the consequences of their inaction, Old Bird refuses to leave her there to die. The Chozo take Samus aboard their ship and bring her to their home world of Zebes. On Zebes, however, a normal human child wouldn't last long. The planet's harsh conditions, extreme gravity, toxic atmosphere, and hostile wildlife would kill her within days. To ensure her safety, the Chozo perform a drastic procedure. They infuse Samus with Chozo DNA, enhancing her physical abilities and allowing her body to adapt to Zebes' environment. Over time, Samus' strength, agility, and senses grow far beyond a normal human's, turning her into something completely new, a human-Chozo hybrid. As she grows, Samus trains under Old Bird and Grey Voice, honing her physical and mental skills. The Chozo also construct a biomechanical supercomputer, named Mother Brain, to help manage Zebes' systems and eventually act as a liaison with the Galactic Federation. To survive on the planet's surface, they design a unique suit of armor tailored to Samus' alter physiology, which will one day be known as her iconic power suit. Samus spends her youth sparring against training drones, exploring Zebes' caverns, and testing the power suit's capabilities, all under the watchful eyes of her Chozo guardians. At the same time, the Chozo Council debates the future. Their civilization is aging and dwindling, and they fear that their time in the galaxy is coming to an end. Old Bird pins his hopes on two children, the Metroids they've created to combat the X Parasites on SR-388, and Samus, the girl forged from human and Chozo blood, who might one day protect the galaxy in their stead. As she reaches adolescence, Samus' moral compass is tested. When Mother Brain coldly orders worker robots to incinerate threats and experimental drones without hesitation, Samus instinctively tries to disarm rather than destroy, showing empathy where the AI only sees efficiency. She clashes with Mother Brain's cold logic, and the supercomputer in turn begins to see Samus, and by extension organic life entirely, as a liability rather than an asset. Eventually, Old Bird tells Samus that she's ready to leave Zebes and see the wider galaxy. With Chozo blessing and her power suit as a parting gift, Samus departs to serve in the Galactic Federation's military, hoping to use her strength and unique abilities to help the galaxy at large. She joins the Federation police under General Adam Malkovich, and is soon deployed alongside fellow officers like Mawk and Krates. On one mission, they infiltrate a space pirate work camp where civilians are being forced into labor. When a child slave is about to be executed for being too small to work, Samus intervenes in her power suit, tearing through the pirate ranks. Instead of executing the last surviving pirate, however, she chooses to spare him and hand him over for trial, reaffirming that she wants justice, not slaughter. Meanwhile, space pirate attacks ramp up across the galaxy. Old Bird, watching events unfold from Zebes, grows worried that the Federation is underestimating the threat, believing their only real hope may lie in the Metroids and in Samus herself. During an interrogation of the captured pirate, Samus and her squad learn a chilling truth. Their questioning is simply a distraction. While they're busy, the pirates have been launching an all-out assault on Zebes. Samus' new homeworld is now under siege, just as her original was. Samus immediately tries to rush to Zebes, but Adam blocks her path, reminding her of her duty and chain of command. In one of their earliest confrontations, Samus points her arm cannon at him rather than stand down. Seeing her resolve, Adam relents, granting her a limited window to act before the Federation fleet arrives. Samus departs for Zebes, with Mawk and Krates in tow. When they arrive, they find the surface ravaged and many Chozo structures now in ruin. Some of the fallen space pirates show signs of having their life energy drained, seemingly evidence of Metroids gone out of control. Following Pianchi through the shattered tunnels, Samus discovers a recording from Old Bird. In the message, He explains that the space pirates attacked to seize Chozo technology and knowledge, that Zebes has fallen, and that any surviving Chozo were forced to evacuate and hide rather than destroy the planet outright. Worse, the Metroid project has spiraled beyond their control, and the Chozo can no longer act as stewards of the galaxy they once tried to guide. Old Bird's last words in the recording are addressed directly to Samus. He names her as their final child, the living legacy of their race, and entrusts the future to her. While the Chozo may fade, she can still stand between the galaxy and oblivion. Deep within Zebes, Samus pushes on alone and discovers a disturbing sight. Mother Brain has turned on her creators, and is now overseeing the space pirates. The AI explains that it understands the pirates' hierarchical hive-like structure, and has placed itself at the top. It even claims that Samus was raised as a living bioweapon, going so far as to refer to itself as her mother. Samus rejects this idea outright, seeing Mother Brain's cold ambition for what it truly is. Things only turn from bad to worse as another familiar face then arrives, none other than that of Ridley. Face to face with the massive dragon once again, Samus is forced to relive the trauma of K2L, triggering a PTSD episode. Ridley taunts her, boasting that he survived the Afloralite blast by feeding on the flesh of the dead colonists, and that her mother may have been among his victims. The memories of fire, her parents' deaths, and her own helplessness overwhelm her. Samus shuts down, her power suit dissipating as she collapses into a near catatonic state. Elsewhere in the occupied Chozo facilities, Federation officers Mach and Krates stumble on Chozo prisoners being used to adapt pirate bodies to Zebes' harsh environment. Among the captives is a respected elder who once helped Mach's species join the Federation. Learning that the pirates intend to twist Chozo knowledge and biology to their own ends, the pair resolve to break the prisoners out. To save both Samus and the Chozo, the elders rally around her. Recognizing her breakdown as old wounds being torn open, they help her process the pain she's buried since her childhood. They don't demand she be a weapon, they instead ask her to stand up as their successor. Drawing strength from them, Samus regains her resolve. Her power suit then reforms around her, and she reaffirms her purpose, not to kill for revenge, but to protect those who can't fight for themselves. While Samus escorts Mach, Krates, and the freed Chozo towards an escape ship, Greyvoice slips away to settle his own score. Donning ancient Chozo battle armor, he storms Mother Brain's chamber. The AI, now fully convinced of its own superiority, boasts that the aging Chozo have become obsolete, and that it will use the space pirates, and if possible Samus, to usher in a new era where it dictates order for the galaxy. Greyvoice rejects this vision, reminding Mother Brain that the Chozo once spread knowledge to uplift others, not to rule over them, and accuses the AI of fearing life simply because it can't predict what it'll do. He then attacks Mother Brain's shielded core, fully aware that it'll cost him his life. He then takes the Chozo's last stand against Mother Brain, the AI that was once their creation for greatness, but must now be destroyed before it destroys everything they believed in. Unfortunately, Ridley intervenes, mortally wounding Greyvoice. The Elder staggers out to the surface near a Chozo statue, using his final moments to reach out to Samus through their psychic bond. Through her suit, Samus can feel his struggle and hears his last request, that she continue forward, use her strength to help others, and protect the galaxy in their place. He then dies, entrusting that legacy to her. Meanwhile, the space pirate mothership over Zebes prepares to tighten its hold on the planet. Just as all hope seems lost, the Galactic Federation finally arrives in force. Led by Adam Malkovich aboard a Special Ops battleship, the Federation fleet engages the pirates and destroys the flagship threatening Zebes. The battle marks a turning point. The Chozo are effectively gone as a galactic power. The pirates are beaten but not eliminated. and Mother Brain's betrayal has fully severed her from her original purpose. In the aftermath of the Federation's assault and Grey Voice's sacrifice, the remaining Chozo scatter into hiding, leaving Zebes largely abandoned except for one place the space pirates immediately seize for themselves: Torian, the ancient Chozo network core deep beneath the planet. Originally built as a control hub where Mother Brain could interface with Zebes' defense network, environmental systems, and research labs, Torian becomes the beating heart of the space pirate activity. With the Chozo gone, Mother Brain fully aligns herself with the pirates, turning Torian into a techno-organic fortress. Samus, seeing what Zebes has become, steps down from the Federation military, despite Adam's disapproval, and transitions into life as an independent bounty hunter. Despite her no longer having a place to call home, she knows one thing: Torian must eventually fall. As the space pirates expand their operations, the Federation intercepts intelligence pointing back to Zebes and Mother Brain's growing influence. With tensions escalating and Mother Brain entrenching herself deeper inside Torian, the Federation turns to the one person with the history, training, and personal motivation to infiltrate the planet's depths. They finally call on Samus Aran. And so she accepts the mission: a covert strike on Zebes to cripple the pirates, destroy Mother Brain, and dismantle Torian from the inside. This is the operation that will become her first step towards becoming a legend. Her Zero mission. When Samus touches down, she emerges into the familiar Chozo architecture of Brinstar, the surface-level labyrinth now crawling with indigenous creatures. Using the power suit's mobility and beam upgrades hidden throughout the ruins, she slowly pushes deeper and deeper into the planet. Chozo statues activate as she approaches, silently offering new weapons, abilities, and guidance towards the pirate base. From Brinstar, Samus descends into Norfair, a molten underworld filled with lava caverns and ancient Chozo machinery. As she advances, Samus uncovers the entrances to two fortified layers, now overrun by pirate influence. In one of these domains, Samus faces Kraid, an enormous behemoth whose three-eyed, spike-covered form towers over her. After a ferocious battle, she brings him down, eliminating one of Mother Brain's key generals. Her other target is far more personal. Deep within the biological furnaces of Norfair, Samus enters Ridley's command nest. The space pirate leader descends onto her with screeching fury, unleashing plasma and blades in a battle that forces Samus to confront the creature responsible for destroying K2L and killing her parents. After a brutal duel, Samus finally defeats Ridley, fulfilling a vow she's carried since childhood. Unfortunately, this won't be the last time. With both pirate commanders eliminated, Zebes' defenses destabilize, opening the path to the core. Samus then advances into Torian, now transformed from the Chozo control hub into the nerve center of the Metroid program, overtaken by the space pirates and Mother Brain. Metroids freely drift through the chambers, guarding the final approach to the center where Mother Brain itself is housed in a biomechanical tank. The AI attacks with rings of energy and defensive turrets, forcing Samus to weave through hazard after hazard. After an intense battle, Samus finally destroys Mother Brain's containment unit. The rupture triggers a chain reaction that begins tearing Torian apart. With the alarm blaring and the complex self-destructing, Samus races back through the collapsing corridors, making it to her gunship just in time. She escapes the blast, watching Zebes' core fortress erupt behind her. For a moment, it seems her mission is complete. However, as she charts a course away from the planet, pirate air batteries open fire from orbit. Her gunship is hit, spirals out of control, and crashes back onto Zebes' surface. The impact destroys her armor system, forcing Samus to crawl from the wreckage in her Zero suit, armed only with a stun pistol. Now exposed and vulnerable, she infiltrates a newly revealed area of Zebes, Chozodia, an enormous Chozo-built temple complex long since commandeered by the space pirates. Stealth becomes her only option. Samus slips through the mothership's halls, avoiding detection while gathering fragments of Chozo lore that hint at a deeper plan her guardians left behind for her. Deep within the heart of Chozodia, Samus finds an ancient Chozo shrine. As she steps inside, the dormant machinery awakens, recognizing her DNA, her presence, and her worthiness. Light then engulfs her, and a fully restored power suit materializes around her as the Chozo gift her the armor in its fully powered form, finally unlocking her true potential. With her abilities restored, Samus storms the pirate mothership. Inside, she discovers a final challenge, Mecha Ridley, a mechanized reconstruction of her old nemesis built as a final security measure. Samus dismantles it piece by piece, carving through until the replica collapses in smoking debris. She activates the ship's self-destruct system and sprints through collapsing corridors once again, escaping in a pirate escape craft just as the massive vessel detonates above Zebes. Only now, with Mother Brain destroyed, Ridley defeated twice, the pirate mothership obliterated, and Zebes' core operations in ruins, does Samus' first mission truly come to an end. Not long after the events on Zebes, Samus, aboard her gunship, picks up a distress signal from a derelict space pirate frigate orbiting the planet Talon 4. Upon arriving at the frigate, Orpheon, Samus discovers that the pirates were conducting genetic experiments on creatures using a toxic radioactive substance called phazon. The experiments have seemingly gone awry, and Samus fights through mutated creatures as well as a giant parasite queen, causing the frigate to initiate a self-destruct. In the chaos, she briefly clashes with a cybernetically enhanced Meta Ridley. Ridley resurrected once again with pirate technology, before he flees. Samus pursues Ridley to Talon 4's surface, as the Orpheon explodes behind her. On Talon 4, Samus explores the lush but corrupted landscapes and soon learns the planet was once home to the Chozo. The ancient race thrived there in peace until a phazon meteor, referred to as the Great Poison by the Chozo, crashed decades prior. The impact devastated the ecosystem and spread phazon across Talon 4, slowly poisoning the land. Chozo lore scrawled on temple walls reveals a prophecy. The Chozo foresaw the coming of an unholy worm from the stars that would bring the Great Poison, rot the world from within, and spawn corrupted monstrosities. However, the same prophecy spoke of a defender that would one day arrive to cleanse the evil, a newborn warrior clad in Chozo armor. Believing Samus to be this chosen savior, as she was a human child raised by the Chozo had prepared for her coming. They built a sealed artifact temple over the meteor's impact crater, and scattered 12 engraved Chozo artifacts across the land as keys to contain the phazon's influence. They also left behind numerous upgrades and weapons, trusting that the newborn would find these ancient Chozo relics and use them to eradicate the Great Poison. Samus ventures through ancient Chozo ruins and dense jungles, recovering lost abilities and suit upgrades that the Chozo left in her path as foretold. She also infiltrates space pirate research labs in the frozen Phendrana drifts and the deep phazon mines, sabotaging their phazon experiments along the way. She also gradually gathers the 12 Chozo artifacts, each acquisition bringing her closer and closer to unlocking the sealed crater. Deep in the phazon mines, Samus confronts the Omega Pirate, an enormous elite pirate infused with vast amounts of phazon as a super soldier experiment. After a grueling battle, Samus kills this hulking creature. As the Omega Pirate's body collapses and ruptures, it releases a massive surge of raw phazon that is absorbed into Samus's power suit. This catastrophic infusion inadvertently corrupts and upgrades her suit, transforming it into the phazon suit. The phazon suit's armor turns jet black with crimson accents, and it grants Samus immunity to the otherwise lethal phazon radiation, as well as the ability to weaponize phazon energy. Armed with this new suit, the final ability predicted by the prophecy, Samus can safely traverse phazon-soaked areas and even channel phazon into a phazon beam attack. With all of the artifact keys obtained, Samus returns to the artifact temple. The moment she places the last artifact to unlock the impact crater's seal, however, Meta Ridley returns once again, swooping in for a surprise attack, desperate to stop her. An intense aerial battle unfolds above the temple. Samus uses her upgrades and skills to duel meta Ridley, eventually shooting off his cybernetic wings and blasting the dragon-like pirate into the depths below the temple's altar. With Ridley defeated once again, the path to the heart of the Phazon corruption is now clear. Samus unseals the Impact Crater, a cavernous pit beneath the temple that houses the origin of Phazon on the planet, the very core of the meteor. Descending into the Impact Crater, Samus navigates pulsating Phazon pools and crystalline tunnels, teeming with mutated creatures. At the bottom, she encounters the source of the Great Poison, the terrifying Metroid Prime. This grotesque abomination is an immense, crab-like Metroid creature that had grown fat on Phazon in the crater, morphing into a nightmarish apex predator. In a climactic showdown deep underground, Samus clashes with Metroid Prime's multi-phased forms. Even with her arsenal, the creature proves almost invulnerable. That is, until Samus leverages the Phazon suit's unique power. Standing in pure Phazon ooze, she absorbs the energy into her suit and fires it back as a hyper beam, finally blasting through the beast's defenses. Ultimately, Samus overwhelms Metroid Prime, and the monster collapses into a violent death throw, seemingly purging Talon 4 of the Phazon menace at last. Unbeknownst to Samus, however, the danger is not truly over. In its dying moments, the core essence of Metroid Prime latches a tentacle onto Samus and rips the Phazon suit off of her, draining the suit's Phazon energy and sampling her DNA in the process. Samus's armor reverts to her previous gravity suit as she escapes the collapsing crater. Beneath the ruins, the remnants of Metroid Prime use the stolen Phazon suit and Samus's DNA to reconstruct itself into a new humanoid form, Dark Samus, which claws its way out of the rubble before vanishing. Samus departs Talon 4 victorious, but unaware that this doppelganger born from her own suit and the Phazon will soon emerge to threaten the galaxy anew. Shortly after the Talon 4 mission, Samus answers another peculiar call from the Galactic Federation. The Federation intercepts a telepathic message emanating from the distant Alimbic cluster in the Tetra Galaxy, claiming the secret to ultimate power lies there. Sensing potential danger, the Federation sends Samus to investigate. She is not the only one lured by the message, however. 6 rival bounty hunters, Sylix, Weevil, Trace, Noxus, Spire, and Candon, also race to claim this ultimate power. Upon arriving in the Alimbic cluster, Samus explores derelict star fortresses, ice moons, and drifting ruins permeated with strange psychic energy. Across these scattered realms, she uncovers remnants of the long-dead Alimbic civilization, a once advanced species wiped out by an interdimensional entity known as Garea. Samus also finds encrypted messages, dormant guardians, and sealed chambers, all pointing to a catastrophic mistake. Garea wasn't just powerful. It could mimic, consume, and corrupt entire civilizations. To prevent its escape, the Alimbics divided the keys to Garea's prison into 8 artifacts called octoliths, before scattering them throughout the cluster. However, the telepathic broadcast Samus heard wasn't a warning. It was bait. It turns out, the lure was cast by Garea itself, reaching out from its prison, the fortress called the Oubliette, hoping that anyone would assemble the octoliths and release it. As Samus retrieves each octolith, the rival hunters ambush her repeatedly. Some confront her out of raw competition, others out of personal vendetta. None of them are more dangerous than Sylix, who attacks Samus and Federation assets with a heightened level of hostility. Despite their clashes, all of the hunters, including Samus, unknowingly advance Garea's goal, collecting the artifacts needed to unlock the Oubliette. When Samus finally assembles all 8, the Oubliette, a massive weapon fortress, materializes out of subspace, dragging all of the hunters inside. Inside the Oubliette, Samus finally learns the truth. The ultimate power is Garea, revived from its slumber and capable of shifting forms, stealing weapons, and overwhelming anything that threatens it. One by one, the hunters realize the truth. If Garea escapes the oubliette, the Alembic cluster, and possibly the entire galaxy, will fall just as the Alembic civilization once did. Inside the oubliette, the other hunters are incapacitated as Garea siphons their power. In the end, it's Samus alone who exploits the Alembic's hidden failsafe and destroys both of Garea's forms. As the fortress collapses, the surviving hunters escape in their own ships and scatter back into the galaxy. Samus departs as well, ensuring that the cluster is finally safe. On her way, the Alembic elders appear before her, offering their thanks for eliminating Garea once and for all. Sometime after the Alembic cluster incident, the Galactic Federation dispatches Samus Aran to investigate the disappearance of a Special Forces unit on the remote planet Aether. Their last transmission was cut off mid-signal, and contact with the unit has gone silent ever since. Upon landing, Samus discovers that Aether is unlike any world she's seen before. Decades earlier, a Phazon meteor, similar to the one that struck Talon 4, crashed into the planet. But instead of simple corruption, this one's impact shattered space-time, creating a dimensional rift. Aether now exists in two overlapping realities, the normal light Aether realm and the shadowy twin called dark Aether, both occupying the same physical space but vibrating on different frequencies. Traversing the terrain, Samus finds the remains of the missing Federation squad, dead. Worse, she soon encounters the Ing, a malevolent species of dark, shape-shifting parasites born from the Phazon corruption. The Ing inhabit the dark Aether realm, but they frequently invade the light realm through rift portals. These creatures possess the dead, twisted living beings into weapons, waging an all-out war to consume Aether entirely. Just as it seems Aether is beyond saving, Samus luckily meets the Luminoth, the planet's original inhabitants, an ancient, wise, and technologically advanced race. Their once great civilization was all but annihilated by the dimensional split and the arrival of the Ing. Now, only one sentinel remains, Umos, a guardian of the Luminoth's last stronghold. Umos explains that the planet's core, Light of Aether, which stabilizes reality, was fractured by the impact and stolen piece by piece by the Ing. They've since hoarded this energy in dark temples scattered across the Dark Realm, and if the energy isn't recovered, the Light One will collapse, and the Ing will overrun the physical universe. Samus agrees to help, beginning a perilous journey between dimensions. To even survive in the toxic atmosphere of Dark Aether, she must locate specialized upgrades, starting with the Dark Suit, which shields her from the realm's corrosive haze, and later the Light Suit, a full Luminoth Chozo hybrid technology that allows her to travel freely through both realities, even using light energy transit systems. But Samus isn't the only familiar presence on Aether. As she ventures through the temples and industrial ruins, she is stalked by Dark Samus. Dark Samus appears intermittently, feeding on local Phazon deposits and attacking Samus with a mirrored arsenal of beams and missiles. The creature seems to regenerate after each encounter, and it's clear to Samus that her evil twin is evolving with each battle. Throughout her campaign, Samus locates each of the planetary energy modules stolen by the Ing, and restores them to their rightful temples in the Light Realm. These victories deal a crippling blow to the Ing's stronghold, gradually weakening the fabric of the Dark Aether realm itself. In the final climax, Samus breaches the Sky Temple, the final fortress of the Ing, hidden beyond a Phazon storm in the Dark Realm's core. There, she confronts the Emperor Ing, a grotesque, multiform manifestation of the Ing's hive mind. After an intense battle, Samus defeats the creature and reclaims the last piece of planetary energy. As she prepares to leave, however, Dark Samus returns one last time, desperate and overcharged with raw Phazon. The two clash in a brutal, final duel beneath the darkened sky. After a brutal fight, Samus lands the finishing blow, triggering a violent Phazon overload that vaporizes Dark Samus's body in a radiant blast, although no trace of her corpse remains afterwards. With the light of ether finally restored, the Dark Ether realm destabilizes and collapses, unable to sustain itself without the stolen energy. Samus races to escape through the last portal as the Ing's dimension is obliterated behind her. As the dust settles, Ether is saved, and the Luminoth enter a deep stasis, finally at peace. However, as Samus ascends back to orbit in her gunship, she doesn't notice the faint shimmer below. Phazon particles quietly swirl as Dark Samus begins to reform. Approximately 6 months after Ether, the Galactic Federation faces a full-scale crisis. Phazon is appearing across numerous worlds seeded by more Phazon meteors, discovered to be living organisms called Leviathans. Samus joins a task force under the Federation's command, alongside 3 other top bounty hunters, Rundus, Gondreda, and Gore. They gather at Norian, a Federation planet, just as a massive space pirate assault, led by the now reformed Dark Samus, hits the planet. During the attack, the pirates unleash one of their most feared assets, Meta Ridley, reconstructed once again and deployed to cripple Norian's power systems before the defense cannon can be brought online. Samus pursues Meta Ridley deep into the facility, battling him in a vertical reactor shaft as he tries to drag her to her death. After a brutal fight, Samus drives Meta Ridley off, allowing the Federation to restore power and continue the mission, but again failing to fully destroy her rival, as he later retreats from the battlefield. With the power restored, Samus and the other hunters race to activate the planet's defense cannon before the incoming Leviathan meteor makes contact. They succeed in firing the cannon and saving Norian, but not before Dark Samus intervenes personally. At point-blank range, she unleashes an overwhelming blast of raw Phazon energy, infecting Samus and all 3 hunters. Samus manages to fire the cannon and prevent the Leviathan impact, but collapses as the Phazon corruption spreads throughout her body. 1 month later, Samus awakens on the Galactic Federation flagship GFS Olympus, with a new experimental PED, or Phazon Enhancement Device, suit. The Phazon in her body remains, but is kept at bay, and now she can harness it in short bursts. The other hunters, however, disappeared shortly after awakening, each one heading towards a different Leviathan-seeded world. The Federation then briefs Samus on the grim situation. Leviathans have impacted 3 planets, Brio, Elysia, and the pirate homeworld, spreading Phazon corruption to each. Samus's mission is to travel to each world, destroy the Leviathan seeds, and find out what happened to the other 3 hunters. On Brio, a war-ravaged world split between fire and ice tribes, Samus discovers the truth. Rundus has already succumbed to Phazon corruption, and now serves Dark Samus. His control over cryokinetic power has become unstable, and Samus is forced to defeat him in battle, absorbing his corrupted essence through her PED system. Pushing deeper into Brio's heart, Samus reaches the massive Leviathan. She then destroys Brio's seed, slowing Phazon's spread, but her own corruption grows stronger. Samus heads next to Elysia, an ancient sky world populated by sentient machines. There, she finds Gore, the mechanized hunter whose cybernetic systems have been overtaken by Phazon. Dark Samus twists his body and mind, forcing a battle with Samus. Samus defeats him as well, absorbing more corruption before destroying the Elysian Leviathan seed. Throughout her journey, Samus receives updates from Aurora units, biomechanical supercomputers that oversee Federation infrastructure. Each transmission reports the same troubling trend, a growing Phazon infection spreading through even their systems. With 2 seeds destroyed, Samus leads a coordinated Federation assault on the space pirate homeworld, now completely drenched in Phazon and protected by a planet-wide acidic atmosphere. There, she finds Gondreda, the shape-shifting hunter, also corrupted and enslaved by Dark Samus. After a desperate fight, With Gandrada shifting into Samus's own form, Samus defeats her and absorbs the final Hunter corruption. With the corrupted Hunters entirely eliminated, Samus infiltrates the final Leviathan, its shielded core protected by a familiar terror, Omega Ridley, a heavily Phazon-enhanced resurrection of Meta Ridley, formed after his defeat on Norian. The two battle as Omega Ridley relentlessly tries to crush her. Samus eventually overcomes the creature, and he disappears into a pool of Phazon. Samus then destroys the Leviathan seed. Only one target remains, the source of all Phazon. Using data pulled from the 3 destroyed seeds, the Federation locates Phase, a rogue, living planet composed entirely of Phazon. Samus travels there alone, and upon stepping onto its surface, her PED suit immediately shifts into hyper mode permanently, meaning she can no longer deactivate the Phazon flow. If she loses control, the planet will claim her completely. With the stakes higher than ever, Samus fights through Phase's violent organism-like chambers, before finally reaching the planet's core. There, she confronts Dark Samus, who has become the living avatar of Phase itself. The final duel then ensues, the culmination of everything since Talon 4. The two armor-clad figures clash in a furious duel of beams and missiles. With great effort, Samus overcomes her Dark Doppelganger, blasting Dark Samus apart. In her final moments, Dark Samus attempts to merge with the corrupted Aurora Unit 313, a massive Federation AI that the pirates stole, corrupted, and implanted into Phase as a stabilizing brain. Together, Dark Samus and the unit fight Samus as one entity. Samus is able to destroy the fused monstrosity, causing Phase to destabilize. With the Aurora unit dead, Dark Samus finally disintegrates, and all Phazon in the universe collapses with her. Phase then implodes, erasing the substance from existence forever. Samus barely escapes before the planet explodes. Returning to Federation space, Samus receives thanks from the Aurora units, and departs in her gunship. As she flies into the void, however, a lone ship follows at a distance. Inside is Silex, the rogue hunter from Samus's past, with a bitter obsession for her. Silent and mysterious, he simply tracks her, hinting that his role in her story is far from over. With Phazon purged from the galaxy, the space pirates are left reeling, but do not disappear completely. Scattered bands still threaten Galactic Federation worlds. In response, the Federation embarks on Operation Golem, a bold plan to eradicate the space pirate threat once and for all. Rather than solely relying on Samus, the Federation develops powerful mechanized armor suits inspired by Samus's power suit technology to equip their own elite Marines. This newly formed unit is then called the Federation Force. 4 Federation Force Marines are then sent to the remote Bermuda system, where pirates have been spotted establishing bases on 3 planets. Samus Aran is actually involved as well, as she's hired by the Federation as a scout to assist the Force, providing recon intel while they carry out missions. The Marines then battle space pirate operations across the icy planet Excelsior, the desert world Bion, and the gas planet Talvania, gradually dismantling pirate footholds. As the campaign progresses, Samus uncovers the pirates' endgame. They're constructing a gargantuan warship called Doomseye, intending to use it to attack Galactic Federation HQ. Before Samus can relay all of her findings, however, she disappears. The Federation force locates the cloaked Doomseye by disabling its shield generators across 3 planets, but during the final assault, they make a shocking discovery. Samus has been captured by the pirates and taken prisoner aboard the Doomseye itself. In a dramatic twist, the space pirates hijack her power suit, using a device, the Master Brain, an AI similar to Mother Brain, to somehow control her mind. Furthermore, the pirates amplified Samus's size using technology stolen from the planet Bion, turning her into a giant weapon against the Federation force. The Marines are then forced into a desperate battle against a brainwashed Samus, who attacks them in her morph ball form. Luckily, they're able to disable her power suit, freeing Samus from pirate control, though she's left buried under debris in the fight. Pressing deeper into the core of the Doomsday ship, the Federation force successfully destroys the Master Brain that was controlling the vessel's defenses. Samus, having recovered, reappears just in time to save the Marines from a pirate ambush and nods in gratitude before zooming off in pursuit of the last pirates. With the Master Brain eliminated and Samus free, the Federation fleet bombards the Doomsday. The Federation force escapes thanks to Samus's help, and the pirates' Doomsday ship is destroyed for good. Operation Golem is declared a success. The space pirate scheme unravels, and the surviving pirates in the Bermuda system are wiped out. However, if the Federation force recovered a certain Metroid egg during their campaign, the rogue hunter Sylix later infiltrates the top-secret Federation research facility holding it. Sylix locates the captured Metroid egg and uses a device to rapidly hatch it, stealing away the newly born infant Metroid. Sylix, it seems, plans to raise a Metroid of his own, a crazy idea that we just might see again soon. Just a quick aside, that the upcoming title, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, will follow up on Sylix's pursuit and take place at this point in the overarching story, but that lies beyond our current timeline. Following the events on Zebes, the Phazon War, and the Bermuda System incident, the Galactic Federation grows increasingly wary of the Metroids, which have proven too dangerous in the wrong hands. The Federation declares the Metroid species a galactic threat that must be eradicated at the source. After some failed attempts by Federation teams to explore SR-388, which has become the Metroid's homeworld, they contract the one person suited to the task, Samus Aran. Answering the call once again, Samus travels to the planet SR-388 on a search and destroy mission. Deep within SR-388's cave networks, she methodically hunts down every known Metroid organism. The Metroids on SR-388 have natural life stages, and Samus encounters Alpha Metroids, Gamma Metroids, Zeta Metroids, and even gigantic Omega Metroids as she descends further and further, each form more deadly than the last. One by one, these creatures fall to her power beam and newly acquired ice and missile upgrades. The planet's hostile ecology, from acid pools to ancient ruins, serves as a gauntlet for Samus's extermination quest. Eventually, Samus reaches the Metroid Queen's lair deep beneath SR-388's surface. The Queen Metroid is a massive, final stage Metroid, with a grotesque maw and a powerful acid attack. In a brutal battle, Samus manages to slay the Queen, seemingly bringing an end to the Metroid race once and for all. In the aftermath, as she surveys the Queen's nesting chamber, Samus discovers one last surprise: a single, unhatched Metroid egg. Right before her eyes, the egg hatches, and a baby Metroid emerges. The infant Metroid then imprints on Samus, assuming that she is its mother, and chirps affectionately rather than attacking. Samus initially raises her arm cannon to finish it, as her mission is to exterminate all Metroids after all. But she cannot bring herself to kill the helpless hatchling. In that moment, Samus's hardened exterior softens. She realizes that the creature is innocent, and perhaps even the only of its kind. Opting for compassion, Samus spares the Metroid hatchling, and allows it to follow her. The baby Metroid faithfully trails Samus as she climbs back out of SR-388's depths, even helping her destroy some obstacles with its energy siphoning abilities. As Samus departs SR-388 with the baby, however, she's ambushed by an again resurrected Ridley, now in a cybernetically augmented Proteus Ridley form. Ridley attempts to snatch the Metroid hatchling, forcing Samus into an unexpected aerial battle. Although she's exhausted from her journey, Samus fights fiercely to protect the baby Metroid like she couldn't protect her family. Ultimately, she defeats Ridley yet again, and both Samus and the hatchling escape SR-388 unharmed. Finally leaving the planet behind, Samus delivers the baby Metroid to the Federation's Space Science Academy for study. In her mission report, Samus notes that the Metroid menace is eliminated, save for this lone infant, now in the custody of trusted Federation scientists, who learn that the creature's energy siphoning ability can be reversed to produce limitless energy. With the hatchling secured in a containment capsule, Samus departs the station. As she leaves, a sense of calm settles, and by all accounts,
the last Metroid is in captivity. The galaxy is at peace.
This peace proves to be short-lived, however, as disaster strikes immediately after Samus hands over the Metroid hatchling. In space, Samus soon receives a distress call from the Ceres space colony where she just left the baby. Racing back, she finds the research station in ruins, with the bodies of fallen scientists scattering the halls around her. In the lab, the capsule containing the infant Metroid is now empty. Suddenly, Samus discovers Ridley, resurrected again, who has stolen the baby Metroid. While Samus tries to stop him, Ridley successfully escapes the station with the precious specimen. A self-destruct timer then predictably triggers, and Samus flees just before Ceres explodes, determined to retrieve the stolen hatchling. Tracking Ridley's flight path, Samus heads for planet Zebes, the very world where her adventures began. She finds that the space pirates have returned to their old base on Zebes, rebuilding it in the wake of Mother Brain's defeat. Upon landing, Samus discovers that the pirates, likely under Ridley's leadership again, are attempting to clone the Metroids using the baby to restart their bioweapon project. The familiar environments of Zebes then await, and Samus travels through Brinstar's jungles, the fiery depths of Norfair, and even Old Torian. The pirates have either revived or replaced their elite guardians. Kraid and Ridley rise again to challenge Samus, Kraid in his lair, and Ridley deep in Norfair's lava. Samus eliminates Kraid and eventually confronts Ridley in a ferocious rematch, defeating her nemesis once more in battle. Despite Ridley's defeat, the baby Metroid is nowhere to be found on his person, leaving Samus to continue her search. She also encounters two new foes on her path: Phantoon, a spectral being with phantom-like powers, and Dragon, a water-dwelling crustacean creature. She swiftly defeats them as well. With the four bosses out of the way, Samus is then able to venture back into the space pirate headquarters, Torian. There, she encounters an astonishing and terrifying sight: the baby Metroid, now enormously grown, which quickly latches onto her. In the time under pirate captivity, the infant matured into a giant Super Metroid, and it drains Samus's energy in seconds, nearly killing her. Suddenly, the Super Metroid recognizes its mother and releases Samus. It screams out an emotional cry, remorseful for attacking the one person it imprinted on, and zooms away, sparing Samus's life as she presses onward. Samus then finds another shocking sight: Mother Brain, revived by the pirates. Mother Brain attacks with lasers and bombs, now housed in a new, hulking biomechanical body. Samus fights valiantly, but is overwhelmed by Mother Brain's devastating rainbow beam. Critically injured, Samus is pinned down and about to be finished off when the Super Metroid swoops back into the fray. The baby Metroid saves Samus, fearlessly attaching itself to Mother Brain and draining the life energy from the gargantuan AI. The Metroid hatchling takes the brunt of Mother Brain's counterattacks, but succeeds in gravely weakening the monster. The loyal creature then returns to Samus, gently transferring the stolen energy to her, refueling her power suit. In that selfless moment, the hatchling gives Samus the Hyper Beam, an immensely powerful rainbow energy drawn from Mother Brain. Tragically, Mother Brain is not completely defeated. In a cruel rage, the monster musters one last burst of strength and mercilessly annihilates the baby Metroid with a barrage of explosive blasts right in front of Samus's eyes. The hatchling's broken body disintegrates, its tragic cries now silenced. Samus, filled with grief and fury, rises with her hyper beam charged and obliterates Mother Brain, shattering the abomination to dust in a torrent of fire. Mother Brain and the space pirate leadership are finally destroyed for good. An alarm then blares through the pirate base. Completely surprisingly, Mother Brain's death triggers Zebes' self-destruct sequence. Samus then sprints through collapsing tunnels and rising flames to reach her gunship on the surface. In a nail-biting escape, she blasts off just as planet Zebes erupts into a cataclysmic explosion behind her. The entirety of her former homeworld, along with the remaining space pirates and any cloned Metroids, is completely incinerated. Drifting in her gunship, Samus reflects that the last Metroid truly died on Zebes. Little does she know, however, her trials are not yet over. The fall of Zebes will soon lead to new revelations and a conspiracy within the Federation itself. After returning from Zebes, Samus Aran is left emotionally hollow. The death of the baby Metroid and its sacrifice to save her from Mother Brain continues to haunt her. Samus undergoes rehabilitation under the Galactic Federation's care, where scientists extract the Metroid's residual biological material from her power suit, referred to as the baby's particles. Unbeknownst to Samus, these samples become the genetic cornerstone for a secret Metroid cloning program, and an even more dangerous AI experiment happening deep in Federation Black projects. Still shaken, Samus isolates herself in deep space, drifting alone in her gunship in search of purpose. However, her solitude is interrupted by a strange, automated distress signal unlike anything she's picked up before. It's called a baby's cry, a high-priority alert broadcast designed to demand immediate attention, much like the instinctive urgency of an infant's cry. Following the signal, Samus arrives at the Bottle Ship, sorry, it's in all caps, a massive derelict research station with no visible signs of life. Inside, the facility is eerily silent with signs of a battle, including bloodstains, broken equipment, and bodies. To her shock, Samus learns that she isn't alone. She runs into the 7th Platoon of the Galactic Federation Army, her very own former squadron, led by none other than Adam Malkovich, her former commanding officer. Their reunion is bittersweet, as Samus rebelliously left the military without his blessing. Though emotionally distant, Adam allows Samus to assist, on one condition. She must follow his command structure, including a restriction system where she can only use advanced weaponry when authorized. Though this mechanic is controversial in-universe and out, it's framed as a test of discipline, not necessity. Samus reluctantly agrees. The squad includes Anthony Higgs, an old friend of Samus's, and several other soldiers, including James Pierce, a quiet and observant technician. As they proceed, Samus notices that the Bottle Ship's labs contain traces of another presence, someone with access who shouldn't be there. Surveillance logs are wiped, and certain terminals behave as if someone is watching back. Samus catches brief glimpses of a pale girl in a white lab coat, only for her to vanish the moment Samus spots her. Investigating deeper into the ship, the squad discovers that the Bottle Ship was a covert Federation bioweapons research station. Within its laboratories, the Federation had recreated life forms from planet Zebes, including space pirates, indigenous predators, and even Metroids, all linked through a telepathic control system designed for coordinated behavior. Adam hints that this project required a specialized AI core, but the details are classified. In one of the labs, Samus finally finds a real clue. Records referring to an MB, an administrative AI designed to oversee the creature's behavior. The logs are corrupted, seemingly deliberately, almost as if they were protecting the AI itself. The team then presses on, and Samus encounters another creature, an adorable, furry quadruped nicknamed Little Birdie. Unfortunately, it later sheds its cute form and molts into a full-grown Ridley clone. Samus, blindsided by this transformation, experiences a full-on PTSD episode, reliving the moments from her childhood when she first encountered Ridley on K2L. Paralyzed with fear, she momentarily shuts down, but eventually regains composure and engages the beast, fighting and defeating Ridley yet again. As the mission unfolds, squad members begin dying under suspicious circumstances. One by one, they're picked off, but not by the monsters roaming the station. Samus determines that a human must be behind it. Dubbed the Deleter, Samus suspects the mole to be erasing all traces of the battleship's illegal research by killing witnesses and wiping logs. It's eventually revealed to be James Pierce, who attempts to sabotage the mission, but meets a fitting end, devoured by the very weapons that he helped create. The most alarming secret, however, is hidden deep within Sector 0, a cryogenically sealed lab. There, Samus and Adam discover a new generation of Metroids, genetically engineered to be immune to cold, their only known weakness. These modified Metroids are the culmination of the Federation's program, and Adam realizes the danger they pose. If they escape the station, the galaxy faces an extinction-level threat. In a decisive moment, Adam locks Samus out of the sector. Refusing to let her risk herself, he enters alone and initiates Sector 0's self-destruct sequence. Samus pleads with her mentor over comms, desperate to be the one to go. Adam, resolute as ever, just delivers one final line, the same words he sarcastically used when addressing her in the platoon. "No objections, right, lady?" And with that, he's gone. The lab, and every Metroid inside, is incinerated in the explosion. Shaken but resolved, Samus presses on, finding James's dead body and the mummified remains of the Ridley clone, who was apparently killed after their last battle. Her journey leads to a final confrontation with the station's ultimate bioweapon, a towering, fully matured Queen Metroid, a clone of the same monstrous form that Samus faced on SR-388 during her mission to wipe out all of the Metroids there. Once more, she charges into battle, and after a brutal fight, she slays the Queen, extinguishing what appears to be the final Metroid in existence, again. Deep in the ship's AI core, Samus then meets MB in the flesh. The pale girl Samus kept catching glimpses of was never a survivor. She was the ghost of Mother Brain reborn. As it turns out, MB wasn't just an AI. She was an artificial recreation of Mother Brain, placed in an android designed in the image of a young girl to promote socialization, empathy, and telepathic bonding with the genetically engineered bioforms. Dr. Madeline Bergman, MB's creator, tried to raise her like a human child, but when the Federation feared MB's emotional independence, they attempted to reset her, effectively killing her personality. In response, MB rebelled, took control of the creatures, initiated the station-wide revolt, and manipulated the Deleter to eliminate the scientists. MB argues that the Federation betrayed her and her children, claiming that Samus should understand losing a child. However, before the confrontation escalates, a Federation squad arrives and opens fire, killing MB and shattering her body. Her death disrupts the telepathic network, causing the remaining creatures to panic and go feral. In the wake of the ordeal, the Federation decides to wipe the battleship from existence. The remaining survivors, including Anthony Higgs and Dr. Madeline Bergman, evacuate, and the station's self-destruct countdown then begins. Samus, however, has one last thing to do. Before she leaves, Samus re-enters the station alone to retrieve one final piece of her past, Adam's helmet, a symbolic memento of the man who once protected her and who gave his life to stop the galactic threat. As she locates the helmet, she encounters one last hostile force, the mysterious, spectral entity, Phantoon, the bizarre creature that she had fought during her last trip to Zebes. Samus defeats it in a surprise bonus battle, suggesting that the ghosts of her past still cling to her present. Samus then escapes just as the battleship explodes, taking its horrors, experiments, and secrets, including the truth behind MB, into the void. With Adam gone, the bottle ship destroyed, and the Federation's crimes buried, Samus reflects on her loss with her former mentor's memento, and moves forward. Unbeknownst to her, the legacy of SR-388 is not yet over. Sometime after the bottle ship incident, Samus agrees to accompany a team of scientists from an organization called Biologic Space Laboratories, or BSL, on an expedition to planet SR-388. The Federation, presumably in light of the bottle ship's revelations, is now openly researching SR-388's ecosystem without the Metroids around. Samus's assignment is to act as a security escort as they explore the surface. During the survey, however, things go horribly wrong. Samus is attacked by a previously unknown organism, the shape-shifting X Parasite that the Metroids were originally created to combat. The X Parasite quickly overwhelms Samus and infect her power suit. With the Metroids now extinct, the X have thrived unchecked on SR-388. These parasites are able to invade a host, kill it, and then mimic the host's form with shocking accuracy. Samus begins feeling ill after the encounter and loses consciousness while flying her gunship off of SR-388. Her ship subsequently crashes, and the wounded Samus is retrieved by the Galactic Federation. The X infection spreads in her body, nearly killing her. Large portions of her power suit actually fuse to her body, and doctors determine that they no longer can be removed by conventional surgery. In a desperate bid to save Samus's life, Federation doctors attempt an experimental cure, a vaccine synthesized from cells of the late Metroid hatchling, the one Samus delivered to the Ceres station. Because Metroid DNA was literally built to prey on X Parasites, the Metroid vaccine proves astonishingly effective. Samus is cured of the infection, but the cure has side effects. Her infected power suit pieces melt away, leaving her with a radically altered appearance, the blue and yellow fusion suit. More importantly, Samus's biology is now part Metroid. She has inherited Metroid traits like vulnerability to cold, and also the ability to absorb X energy. As she recovers, Samus's talents are soon required for a new mission. An explosion has occurred on the orbiting BSL research station, where samples from SR-388, including X specimens and Samus's removed power suit pieces, were being studied. Given her unique immunity as the only living being with Metroid DNA, and thus the only one who can absorb or survive the X Parasites, Samus is quickly sent to investigate the station. She travels there in her ship, now guided by an AI that she nicknames Adam, after her late commander. The AI's personality, coincidentally, or perhaps by design, resembles Adam Malkovich's straightforward, logical demeanor. Arriving on the BSL station, Samus discovers her worst nightmare waiting for her. The X Parasites, carried by her infected power suit pieces, have run rampant. They've mimicked and overrun many of the facility's life forms, creating hostile X-infected creatures all over the station. Most troubling of all, the portions of Samus's old power suit that were cut off have been reanimated by the X, spawning a deadly doppelganger called the SAX. This SAX is an X-Parasite in Samus's fully powered suit, effectively a clone of Samus at her peak power, armed with all of her weapons, missiles, ice beams, etc. The SAX roams the station as the most dangerous entity aboard, and Samus, in her weakened fusion suit, must avoid direct confrontation at any cost. As Samus explores BSL, guided by the AI Adam, she stabilizes various sectors of the station and fights many X-mimicked creatures, from frozen researchers to monstrous boss creatures from her past that were being studied. Along the way, she absorbs core X parasites from defeated bosses, gradually regaining many of her lost abilities, except notably the Ice Beam, which her infused Metroid DNA now makes her vulnerable to. The AI Adam becomes a crucial ally, though it often gives Samus curt commands that remind her more and more of the real Adam's authoritative style. As Samus pushes deeper and deeper into the station, the X confront her with an all-too-familiar horror. In Section 1, the parasites have reconstructed one of her most persistent nemesis, Ridley, or rather, a grotesque X-generated mutation of the Little Birdie clone, now known as Neo Ridley. Even in her weakened fusion suit, Samus battles the monstrous clone head-on, and after a brutal fight, she destroys the Neo Ridley core, absorbing the X Parasite to reclaim more of her abilities. During her investigation, Samus makes another shocking discovery in a secret restricted lab. The Federation has been cloning Metroids once again in secret on the BSL. Despite everything that happened on the bottle ship, certain rogue elements within the Federation continued Project Metroid. Samus finds a whole chamber of infant Metroid clones now in stasis. Before she can even fully process this betrayal, the SAX attacks the restricted lab, triggering its self-destruct sequence. The lab, containing the Metroid clones, is then jettisoned and explodes, thankfully destroying the unwanted resurrection of Metroids. In an ironic twist, the SAX's rampage inadvertently did Samus's work for her. As if matters couldn't get worse, the X Parasites continue reproducing at an alarming rate. The SAX that Samus encountered was only the first. Due to the X's asexual multiplication, no less than 10 SAX clones now prowl the station. The infestation is now beyond containment, and Samus realizes that the X could use the station's crew shuttle to reach Galactic Federation territory, which would be cataclysmic. At this point, Samus's AI companion reveals a hidden agenda. The Federation High Council has been secretly planning to capture the SAX and the X Parasite for military use. They've even ordered Samus's ship to be locked down and her mission aborted, so that a Federation Special Forces team can come in and secure the station. The AI Atom, still following its program directives, initially tries to prevent Samus from self-destructing the station, insisting that she follow Federation orders. This triggers a poignant exchange. Samus openly defies the AI, questioning if it values her life less than following orders, echoing words that she had once heard from the real Atom. Her passion and logic cause the AI to hesitate. In a dramatic moment, the AI exhibits something unexpected: human empathy. It addresses Samus by her name, something it had never done before, and agrees with her plan to destroy the station to save the galaxy. As he lays out her last mission and signs off, the AI slips fully into Adam Malkovich's old role, even ending his orders the way he always did in life. Any objections, lady? For Samus, that one familiar line confirms what she already suspected. The man she lost on the bottle ship is still with her, guiding her through one final, impossible choice. With the AI's help, Samus initiates the BSL station's self-destruct sequence, and plots a collision course with SR-388 in a desperate gambit to wipe out the X at their source. On her way to her ship for escape, Samus encounters the SAX itself, blocking her path. A fierce showdown then ensues, and Samus manages to blast the SAX, forcing it to revert to its core parasite form. The SAX creature flees, leaving Samus momentarily triumphant. As she reaches the hangar, however, a final obstacle appears before Samus: an Omega Metroid, the giant final evolution stage of Metroids, which proceeds to attack. In her current state, Samus is no match for her foe, and the Omega Metroid slashes at her, leaving her suit sparking and her energy nearly gone. At that moment of crisis, the SAX Parasite, drawn by the Metroid's presence, then returns. The SAX, with its ice beam, then attacks the Omega Metroid, as the two are natural enemies, the X hating the Metroid. In the battle, the Omega mortally wounds the SAX, but the distraction gives Samus an opportunity. The SAX's core floats out of the Omega's grasp, and Samus absorbs the SAX Parasite, instantly restoring her powers and fully upgrading her weapons, including regaining the Ice Beam. Now armed with her complete arsenal once again, Samus confronts the Omega Metroid and swiftly defeats it, saving herself and perhaps the entire galaxy. With merely seconds to spare, Samus dives into her gunship. The BSL station, now irreversibly set on self-destruct, hurtles downward and crashes into the planet SR-388. The impact triggers a massive explosion that annihilates the entire planet, ensuring every last X Parasite on SR-388 and on the station is destroyed in one decisive stroke. Samus escapes the blast radius just in time, flying off into space. The threat of the X is seemingly ended, though Samus has effectively acted against the Federation's intentions to achieve this. She wonders what consequences await her for disobeying orders and destroying a research station and planet. As she flies off, Samus Aran knows that she once again made the ultimate choice to preserve galactic peace, even if it meant going rogue. After Samus's last mission, the galaxy at large believes both Metroids and X Parasites to be extinct. Her actions on the BSL station and SR-388 were highly consequential, as she is now the only being alive with Metroid DNA, effectively making her a one-of-a-kind X vaccine in human form. Just when it seems the nightmare is over, a startling development occurs. The Galactic Federation receives a mysterious video transmission that appears to show an X Parasite alive in the wild. The footage is traced to a remote planet called ZDR. Shocked that the X might still exist, the Federation dispatches 7 advanced EMI robots, extraplanetary multiform mobile identifiers, to investigate. These nearly indestructible research units are designed to extract DNA from targets for study. Shortly after arriving, however, all contact with the ME team is lost. With the situation unclear, and knowing that if X Parasites are involved, only Samus is immune, the Federation turns to her once again. Samus Aran is then sent to ZDR to learn what happened to the ME units and determine whether the X threat has returned. Samus then flies off towards ZDR in her gunship, guided by her ship's Atom AI, who warns her that the risk seems disproportionate to the mission's reward. Soon after landing deep underground, Samus encounters something she never expected: a still-living Chozo warrior, the towering Raven. Beak, leader of the militant Mawkin tribe, surprisingly attacks her immediately, before completely overwhelming her. Instead of killing her, though, he notes her Metroid potential and leaves her alive. Samus then loses consciousness, and when she awakens, she finds herself stripped of most of her abilities and stranded in the lowest depths of ZDR. Samus must then ascend back towards the planet's surface, moving through ZDR's varied regions, from natural caverns to sophisticated Chozo installations. Early on, she discovers that the EMI units have been reprogrammed to hunt her. Within their patrol zones, they track Samus relentlessly, capable of killing her instantly if they catch her while attempting to extract her Metroid DNA. Samus cannot fight them conventionally. Only by defeating heavily fortified central units does she temporarily gain an Omega Cannon powerful enough to destroy an EMI. Using this strategy, Samus eliminates the infected machines one by one, gaining new traversal abilities from each victory. Throughout her journey, Samus checks in at network stations where Adam briefs her on her status and the world around her. Unbeknownst to her, some of these communications are intercepted. Beak eventually hijacks the network and impersonates the Atom AI, nudging Samus along his own path. In the Chozo ruins, Samus encounters a peaceful Chozo scientist named Quiet Robe of the Toha tribe, who reveals key history to Samus. He recounts that the Chozo created the Metroids on SR-388 to eradicate the X Parasites. Beak's Mawkin tribe allied with the Toa for this purpose, but after the X were contained, Beak betrayed and massacred the Toa to seize exclusive control of the Metroids. Quiet Robe survived only because Beak needed him to command and program Metroids. Samus's destruction of the Metroid species across her journeys ruined Beak's plans, but now her Metroid-infused DNA offers him a replacement. The mysterious X-sighting transmission was a trap, engineered by Beak to lure Samus to ZDR so that he could harvest her DNA and resurrect a new Metroid army under his rule. Quiet Robe is then assassinated moments after revealing this information. shot in the back by an automated Chozo soldier under Raven Beak's control. With his death, Samus fully understands the stakes. If Raven Beak succeeds, a new, unstoppable army of Metroids will be born. As Samus continues upward, she unintentionally opens a sealed quarantine region called Elune. The X Parasites, which Raven Beak had been studying there, then escape into the wild. They quickly begin infecting creatures across the planet, including dead enemies and Quiet Robe's corpse, which becomes Quiet Robe X, a being that retains his calm demeanor but acts under the X's collective will. Samus now faces X-infected monsters, corrupted Chozo soldiers, and the last surviving Emmys as the planet grows more and more dangerous. During her confrontation with the final Emmy, Samus experiences a sudden surge of instinct. Reaching out with her hand, she drains the machine's energy directly, destroying it in a Metroid-like burst. It becomes clear that Samus is no longer simply carrying the Metroid DNA, she's beginning to become one. Eventually, Samus ascends to Itorash, Raven Beak's colossal fortress floating high above ZDR. There, he reveals that he's been masquerading as Adam through the hacked communications. He also explains that when Samus was genetically augmented as a child, it was Mawkin DNA, specifically Raven Beak's own, that was infused into her. He frames himself as her father, but Samus rejects this attempt at control. Her true family were the Chozo who raised her, not the warlord manipulating her now. The two then clash in a ferocious battle, and Raven Beak's sheer power and resilience push Samus to the brink. Overwhelmed and enraged, her Metroid instincts ignite fully. Her armor mutates into the living, organic Metroid suit, and she lunges at Raven Beak, draining his energy and even that of the fortress itself. This catastrophic power drain destabilizes Itorash and sends it crashing towards the planet. Before Samus can finish Raven Beak, an X Parasite infects him, transforming him into the monstrous Raven Beak X. Powered by her Hyper Beam, Samus obliterates the creature. However, the damage to ZDR is irreversible. Raven Beak's experiments and the collapse of his fortress have triggered the planet's destruction. Samus then races back to her gunship as ZDR begins to collapse around her. As she reaches it, however, her transformed Metroid state has one last consequence. Her energy-draining touch begins siphoning power from the ship itself, threatening to strand her on the exploding world. At this critical moment, Quiet Robe X then appears. Guided by Quiet Robe's lingering will, see what I did there? It willingly allows Samus to absorb it. Because Quiet Robe's Toa DNA was adapted to control and metabolize Metroid energy, absorbing him stabilizes Samus's rampaging Metroid nature and restores her to a controlled form. With her power normalized, Samus boards her gunship and escapes into space as ZDR detonates behind her, wiping out all remaining X Parasites on the planet. Once again, Samus Aran has saved the galaxy, this time from a fusion of some of its greatest threats from her past. The X Parasites are finally gone, the Metroids remain extinct, and Samus alone carries the legacy of both within her blood. With that, the story of Samus Aran comes to a close, at least for now. While she's fought valiantly thus far, her struggle remains one of resilience, bravery, and the unyielding quest to ensure that the
galaxy is at peace.
Now that we're here at the end of the video, if any lawyers representing any Italian plumbing companies are still listening, I recorded all of the footage for this video using completely original hardware with legitimately purchased copies. Any visual enhancements you see on screen were clever post-production tricks and definitely not the amazing mods and other resources linked in the description. I have no idea how those got there. As a massive fan of the Metroid series, growing up playing Super Metroid over and over and over obsessively from childhood to this very day, I cannot wait to jump back into Samus Aran's story. Her journey has spanned planets, empires, entire species, decades at this point, shifting from lone bounty hunter to reluctant guardian to the only force standing between the universe and extinction. Whether her path leads her towards redemption, ruin, or something entirely new, one thing has always remained certain. Samus Aran will keep moving forward, no matter what she becomes or what hunts her next. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this one. This one was a fun one to put together. Like I said, I love the Metroid series so much. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane like I did, please leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and of course, comment on what you'd like to see me cover next. If you'd like to support the channel in other more monetary ways, I understand if you can't, but all these people on screen do an amazing job keeping me able to create these videos for you guys. I've been exploring new types of videos. It's all because of your guys' support that I'm able to do these things, and I thank you so much, and so do these cats that are on screen. You can also become one of them by checking out the links in the description. You get early access to videos and, of course, my undying appreciation. Thank you guys again so much. Oh yeah, now you're in the know.